great job of running the daylight, picking the hole, and being a relentless runner. Our next drill is the stiff arm drill. Now, what we do here is we line up three players about 7 yards apart, and I like to stagger them so that when we push off the first guy, that we're getting lined up to get to the next guy. So at the first 7 yards after the first player, I move the second guy out about 2 to 3 yards ahead of where the first guy was lined up, and the third guy is 7 yards down the line and another 2 yards out in front of where the second guy lined up. That way, as we push off of the first player, we're lined up to attack the second. The emphasis on this drill is to push away with the hand, lift the inside knee across, and push yourself away from the defender. This is an old technique um, that you see. It's kind of the Heisman pose, but it's probably one of the oldest escape techniques in football. Push away, push away. Hand out stiff, get that leg crossed over, push away. Here we're using the shoulder pads. It may even happen on the helmets in a game. Here's an example that we have in a game of our backs using the stiff arm. You can't see it real clearly there, but the stiff arm here keeps this guy from getting tackled here in the backfield. There you see it. Now this one's a little bit more obvious. You don't really get that push away effect because it's a guy who's standing pretty straight up, but you do get that good strong stiff arm, and it's very effective here. This young man was very, very good at using his stiff arm. The next drill we're doing is called a balance drill. Now you can see we put our hands down, get our weight down on our hand, straighten up, and get through the bags as we straighten up. Oftentimes backs get tripped up and stumble, and their hand touches the ground, and you wonder what would have happened if they could have just straightened up. Well, we try and teach our guys to be able to do that. Here you'll see them putting down a hand and continuing through the bags. Here you'll see us put down a hand and switch the ball. Okay? There comes a time when sometimes you may have to switch that ball. You'd like to be able to keep it in one hand, but if you've got an inside defender coming at you, you'd like to get that ball away from him if you possibly can. Another drill we do is called the star drill. I call it a star drill because it looks kind of like a star. You might call it an X drill, but whatever you want to call it, it works for us. We like the drill. It makes our backs lift their knees. It loosens the hips, and it teaches them balance. Have them go around once, put the other hand down, go around, then over the top and through 4 bags. See, these guys are very good at this. Your players may not start out this well with this drill, but after several repetitions, I guarantee they'll get better at it. Good example right there. Getting that hand down, staying up, getting those extra yards. Even if it's only 2 or 3 yards per carry, after 10 carries, it adds up to about 30 yards. In this situation here, you can see a guy getting his hand down, getting up, and making a very important first down just by getting those extra yards. Another example, getting hand down, continuing to run. Here's another great example of a player getting knocked off balance, tripped up, putting his hand down, getting that extra yardage. You can see he's tripped up right here and continues up and gains another 12 yards. Let's take a look at it from the end zone. Great play, great show of balance. Here we see a young man that's knocked off balance. Guy pulls him down over him, but he continues to spin, keeps the presence that he hasn't touched the ground, and makes another couple yards, gets at least back to the line of scrimmage. Here's a play in the Fiesta Bowl. If you watch ESPN, I'm sure you saw during the 2002 Fiesta Bowl, just a great run by Maurice Morris. Hit here, rolls over the top of a guy, continues to run. Everybody just kind of stops the action, but he knows he's not down and continues on into the end zone. Here's a end zone shot of that play. Right here, he goes down, falls on top of a guy, spins around, gets up, puts his hand down. You can't really see his hand go down, but he does. He puts his hand down, stands up, and makes a great run. The next drill we're going to go into are our blocking drills. Now, every back we get that comes in here is a great running back. There are a lot of good running backs, but they're only runners. Here at the University of Oregon, you've got to be a good blocking back because we do have a very good passing attack, and we need backs who can not only block for our passers, but also block for our other backs. So here's some drills that we do to help improve those blocking skills. This first one we do here is just a sled drill. We come off, we want to get the face into the drill, we want to get the thumbs up, and we're going to strike. We're trying to make that strike right underneath the arms, right in the rib cage with the heels of the hands, keeping the thumbs up so that we can control that player, just like we're doing this bag here. Face in there, work those feet. Here, because we do come through the line at different angles, we vary that blocking technique up a little bit by having our guys slide between bags. This is just one of the things that we do. I'll actually have them run through players just like we do on that reaction drill, running to daylight. We'll have them running to daylight to get to a blocker. Here's an example of our fullbacks drive blocking. Nice block here. It's kind of tough to see, but it's at the top of your screen over to the right. Our fullback has a nice block, keeps his feet moving, rolls them up just like he does on that sled. A little bit closer end zone look right here. Okay. Here we go with a play that we call fan. It's ISO type play. This is actually a power that kind of turns into a fan because we're running to the weak side. But it's a lead play for the fullback. You can see he rolls this guy back on his heels, works his feet, creates a nice little hole there. Same play. Again, you can see our fullback there, getting underneath the pads, hitting up through, working the feet, creating a nice lead block for our tailback. This This is one of our cut blocking drills. Now we call this cut blocks versus lateral movement. Of course, there are several different kinds of cut blocks. We practice on mainly the three of lateral movement, um, guys that are coming straight ahead, and vertical cuts. Uh, this one is a lateral cut, the kind of cut that you would use on a sweep or any play where the lead blocker is trying to stay between the defender and a ball carrier who's working to get outside hip of the lead blocker. Okay, what we're teaching them to do here is to get their head and shoulders past the bag and try and almost get your hips on it. Let's look at that again. You can see here he's getting quite a bit of that outside bag. I'd like to see him get the shoulders and head past it a little bit more. We make those emphasis because usually players will throw too early. Hardly ever will they throw too late. So let's make them get that head and shoulders past. If they can do that, they're going to get him with some part of the body, and that defender won't be able to defeat him and get to the ball carrier. Game examples of some of those cuts. And here you see a nice job by our fullback. He doesn't get his shoulders turned upfield like I'd like him to, but he is effective. Got to keep your head up as a blocker. Get your feet going perpendicular to those lines, that is, across those lines. Here we go again with our fullback leading. Pretty nice cut here. I'd like to see his shoulders upfield a little bit more, but this is a nice job. You see him getting his head and shoulders, trying to get his head and shoulders past that outside knee and continuing on through. Great job. Another example here of taking that outside knee. Just working to get the head and shoulders past the knee. Guy moves out into it. Ends up being a very good block. There. Keep that head up. Again, like to see him work to keep his head up and get those shoulders turned up the field. Head and shoulders up the field. Cross the lines with your body. Now here's a cut we do versus the vertical movement. In other words, guys that are coming straight on, and I lay these pads out so guys won't be afraid to go ahead and lay out. Obviously in a game, guys will lay out, but in practices, it's a little tough landing on the ground and landing on that turf all the time. So we have bags that we lay out for them, so they'll be comfortable throwing that block and falling on their stomach. In a game with the adrenaline going, they're not going to have much problem. Right there, you can see the strike. If the strike is proper, the bag will fly into the air. Notice how these bags are flying up into the air. Okay, if those bags aren't hit properly, then they'll just fly straight back and they won't get as much lift as you see them getting here. We do it both sides, obviously, and we want the guys to sell out on the block. Thus, we have the bags there for them. Here's a nice job here, a fullback cutting a linebacker that's stepping up to him vertically, but not real hard. Here we are again, very nice block by our fullback. Like to see him, when those guys are coming at him, get the shoulders just above the knees, strike through just like you would any other block. A cut block is no more than a drive block or a bounce block just above the knee. Strike through. Nice job. Okay, the next phase is pass protection. Obviously, the blocks that you just saw were run type blocks. Here we do our pass protection now. What we're coaching on our pass protection is that we want to get our feet